Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 1, continuing the purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya Yatanvayad Itarata Sharteshva Vignya Swarat. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Asurayaha. Tejovari Mrdam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Translation. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire, or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is absolute truth. Continuing in the purport. In the Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth personality of Godhead is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living beings. And above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities, and the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual, as are other living beings. But the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme Living Being, has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument. But there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as the Parameshwar. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence and addressed as the Para, or the Parameshwar, or the supreme personality of Godhead. And that Parameshwar is Sri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in this Srimad-Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva, Samam Bonam, than himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Different parts of this verse are being discussed in the purport. It seems like the description of Supreme Personality being abhigya, cognizant, is now covered in the purport. Janmadhyasya anvayadi taratash, that is already covered about the Supreme being the origin of everything. Cognizant. In the first sentence of this paragraph, Prabhupada is describing a shlok in the Vedic literature. It says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the chief amongst all living personalities. You know which verse? He repeats a lot. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. There is one eternal. There are many eternals, but there is one among them. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. There are many conscious beings, but there is one particular one who is highest among them. Eko Bahudo Vidadhati Kaman. That one person, personality, is maintaining all the others. So Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. There is a difference. There are many living entities, but there is a difference. One of them is different. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's mentioned here, all living beings from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant are individual living entities. They're all individuals. And Brahma, the ant till Brahma, and above Brahma also the personalities, Devatas, demigods. And then above them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest personality. Greatest, in what sense? The Supreme Personality has greatest intelligence and awareness more than any of us. Actually, that word, abhigna, is translated as cognizant. Cognizant, not a commonly used word nowadays. It means something like aware or having knowledge. Cognizant means having it, like I'm maintaining cognizance, means I'm aware of that issue. Cognizance. So aware or knowledge, having knowledge. So the Supreme has the most knowledge and is most aware than anyone. Although we are all conscious, but we cannot say we know everything. He knows everything, every part of the creation. You cannot imagine. He knows us more than we know ourselves. In Gita there, it says that in this Kshetragya Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, the field of activity body is there, and there's the knower of the field known as the soul. But there's another knower of this field, this body. Kshetragya Chapi Mam Vidhi. I also know all the bodies. It means Krishna is inside all the bodies. He knows. We know our body, but Krishna knows more. He's inside. Kshetragya Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. I know all the bodies. So Krishna knows all of us. We know ourselves, but only. I don't know you. I don't know you. But Krishna knows all of us. And further, it says in the same chapter 13, later on, it says that Upadrishtamantevacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. There is another supreme personality, there is another personality in the body, Upadrishta, who is overseeing everything. Drashta means seeing. Upadrishta, overseeing. That means he's seeing, overseeing, supervising everything. Upadrishta Anumanta. Anumanta means he's the sanctioner. He gives the permission whether something should be done or not. We desire, will he agree? Upadrishta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. Bharta means he's the in charge. Bharta Bhokta, he is the enjoyer. The body, everything is meant for his enjoyment. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara, supreme controller. We are not controlling the body. He is. Bhakta Bhokta Maheshwara. Paramatmeti Chapi Ukto, he is known as the Paramatma. Dehesmin Yathapara. And within this body, he is superior. So, Supreme knows everything. He is supremely cognizant, aware. There's also an IT company by this name, but they're trying to explain that they know. They'll not know the same as what Krishna knows. Cognizant. Krishna is aware. So this knowledge, can you set this? You know how to. So the knowledge of the pinning. How to pin my. Sorry, excuse me. Okay. So that's okay. Okay, so we all come from God, Creator. We come from God. Everything comes from God. We are conscious personalities. He's conscious. We are conscious. The fact that we are conscious means our source is conscious. We cannot say, oh, God is impersonal, God has no form. Where did you come from? How are you existing? Full of consciousness. I can decide, I can do everything. God cannot. But we came from God. He created. He must be the same as us and more. Whatever we are, he has that and more. So personality of Godhead is conscious, is a personality. One description of the Supreme is that everyone here has a father. And their father has a father. That father has a father. And you go like that until you come to someone whom there's no father. That is Krishna. That nothing produced him, but we were produced. We're talking in material sense, body is produced. This is a simple way, because there are people who don't have concept of God, especially in the Far East. So there are things to explain. Basically, one who was not produced by anyone, he's the Supreme. So the Supreme, he's an individual because we are individuals. But people reject this point that, okay, Supreme is not intelligent, he's not a person. They give great credit because someone puts a small satellite in the orbit and it's going around. Wow, what a great scientist. Great, very nice. How can he do that? So intelligent. But everyone is ignoring the huge satellites in the form of planets going around the universe. What about that? No one is thinking of that. Give credit to that. We give credit for that Sputnik, small satellite, or the missile. Give credit to God. No, natural, nature, no God. envy of God. So we actually all came to this material world because we are envious of God. Envious because there's a person greater, smarter, bigger, and more intelligent and famous than us. I don't want to serve him. I am the Supreme. I am God. I am this and that. Okay. So we are living in this world. So now we don't want to know about that person. And if we do, okay, Supreme is there, but no person. He's not a person. He's not intelligent. I'm intelligent. He's not. I have hands. He does not. It's a form of envy. But as Prabhupada says, that this is not intelligent, an intelligent proposition. It's not. That you as a person, I'm intelligent, I'm a person, I can do things, but he cannot do. There's no one like that. The creator doesn't have what I have. No, then he is not God. I have something that he does not have. So the Supreme, Shastra says, Supreme is Abhignya. Supreme is Abhignya. He's cognizant. He knows everything that's going on. Description of the absolute truth is summarized in text 1 of Bhagavatam. So one of the points is that the Supreme is intelligent and aware of everything. We can't imagine. In Bhagavad Gita elsewhere it says, Vedaham samatitani vartamani charjuna bhavishani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kashchana. Krishna says to Arjun, I know past. Vedaham samatitani vartamani, and I know the present. Vartamani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani, and I know the future, and I know all living entities. Mam tu vedana kashchana, but no one knows me. Krishna, we don't know. We don't know. This is the position. Krishna is aware, we are not aware. That's why he's God and we are not. Okay, so where is the question? No intelligence. Where is the question of that? We see that there are some conceptions of God as energy, but and can do. He creates. No, there's no he. Energy, God creates and maintains everything. They accept that, but not that he's a person. But energy cannot be intelligent. Energy cannot have ability. Personality has that. Okay, so due to lower fund of knowledge, people don't understand. Okay. It says in the purport that Vyasadeva himself accepts the supreme intelligence as the Parameshwar. Vyasadeva himself accepts Krishna as supreme controller, Parameshwar. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence addressed as Para or Parameshwar or the supreme personality of Godhead. That Parameshwar is Krishna as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Vyasadeva, and specifically in Bhagavad Gita. Now we are referring to a personality. He's intelligent, he's all aware, he is Krishna. Vyasadeva has said it conclusively. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam says. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says there is no other Paratattva than himself. Therefore, Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. So there is no one. Ekala Ishwar Krishna Arasa Britya. Supreme is one. Everyone else is a servant of that Supreme. Supreme cannot be two. Eko Brahma Dvitiya Na Asti. Supreme is one, there is no two. What to speak of 3, 4, 5, 6, so many gods. No. Supreme is one, and therefore we say creator, that is referring to singular. Janmadi Asya Yataha, Yata in Sanskrit. Yataha means pertaining to that one. Yataha, who is creating, maintaining, and destroying. Janmadi Asya Yataha. So going further in this purport, it's like next purport. If we speak about that there is a supreme, and Vyasadeva has explained him in Srimad-Bhagavatam. More specifically, in the 10th canto of this work, much more detail has been explained about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Okay, so the first text is giving introduction and some kind of entrance into the whole work of the Bhagavatam. So in the purport, I'm going to read the next paragraph. Srila Prabhupada has written, unscrupulous persons means, unscrupulous means having not proper morals, improper morals. Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto and especially to the 5 chapters which describe the Lord's rasa dance. This portion of the Srimad-Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual, and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendently relish this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes the Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully and then attain to the stage of transcendently realizing the Lord, his name, his fame, his qualities, and so on. Okay, now reference here is given to Srila Prabhupada's mentioning Krishna's rasa dance and his pastimes, confidential pastimes. Okay, that is in the 10th canto. Prabhupada said unscrupulous persons go immediately to that section. Unscrupulous means not having high character, a lower personality, having ulterior motive to enjoy in a immoral way. Immoral. So they'll go immediately to the 10th canto. But we are speaking about Supreme Personality who is cognizant, he's supremely intelligent, he's a person. So he has his affairs, he has his life. We want to know about that. First, we have to become qualified. How will you become qualified? Prabhupada says Vyasadeva is giving opportunity to everyone by going from the 1st canto to the 10th canto and explaining about the Supreme, and gives a chance to become spiritually qualified to understand God. God is spiritual. To understand him, we have to have spiritual intelligence, spiritual consciousness, basically. We have to have a spiritual consciousness. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indriye. The Supreme cannot be perceived by material senses. Na bhaved grayam indriye. Sevan mukhe hi jivada is swayam eva swarat yada. Sevan mukhe. By, yeah, that's it. Sevan mukhe hi jivada. By service, beginning with the tongue. Sevan mukha. When one's orientation, mind, is not to enjoy, but to serve God. Sevan mukhe hi jivada, beginning with the tongue. By chanting Hare Krishna and tasting food, prasad, offered to Krishna. So seven mukhe he jiva adao, beginning with the tongue. Jiva adao, swayam eva svaratyada. Swayam, he personally presents himself. We can observe. He personally manifests himself to that personality who has imbibed the service mood. Because when we want to serve God, God is spiritual. To serve him, we have to become spiritual. So when we develop that urge to serve and we are always serving, then we become spiritualized. To enter the sun planet, we will not be able to enter in this body, which is predominated with earth. We have to have a fire body. So to approach Brahman, one has to be Brahman. To approach the Para-Brahman, supreme spiritual personality, we have to be spiritually constituted. So to serve the Supreme, the desire is there, then we'll be spiritualized so that we can serve him. Actually, bhakti in the beginning is not pure. But Shuddha Bhakti, pure bhakti means that the person is already purified. There's another definition of Shuddha Bhakti, that he's desiring to be pure. He's also pure. It's one way of saying that. But actually speaking, purity, a pure devotee, means that necessarily he'll be on the spiritual platform. No other desire, no guna, no maya touching him. So one who has reached that level of understanding the Supreme, he can then enter into the pastimes, understand about those pastimes. But then that is the 10th canto. And so we are reading Srimad-Bhagavatam, we start 1 to 9. And gradually we become purified to understand the 10th canto. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called the rasa dance. So Prabhupada significantly is introducing the topic now, first canto, first chapter, text 1, even before it came, giving the warning. Don't prematurely go there and don't try to understand that. One has to be accomplished in transcendental knowledge of the Supreme. Actually, before Bhagavatam, we have Gita. Bhagavad Gita is so important. We want to absorb Bhagavatam, but we should have absorbed the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. And how do you do that? Of course, read it, hear lectures, hear from advanced personalities about it. Try to see the verses from different frames of angle, because the Bhagavad Gita is meant to put us on the spiritual platform. That is the goal. Finally, it brings us to the point of surrendering to Krishna and giving up material desires. But that not fully giving up, that will be supreme perfection. But for that, we read Srimad-Bhagavatam. And by reading Bhagavatam, the last traces, Tada rajas tamo bhava kama loba dayaschaye cheter eter anavidham stitve sattvam prasidati. By constantly hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam and reading Tada rajas tamo bhava, then the influence of rajagun and tamogun are removed. Stitvam sattve prasidati, then he becomes fixed in sattvagun, prasidati, becomes happy. Why aren't we happy? Because we have so many desires which are not fulfilled. Miserable. You see materialists walking and some are very miserable. Children are happy because at that age you say that, oh, he's so pure. No, he's not pure. It didn't manifest. The desire didn't manifest. They're waiting. At a certain age, then he'll also become miserable, like everyone. Generally, when people are so happy, means they are pious, not having so many material desires. But we also know among devotee circles, someone becomes to look very morose and upset and depressed. It, naturally, that the material desires increased, because that upset, the distress means I cannot fulfill my desires, so I'm depressed. So two ways to be happy: fulfill them, not possible. Bhagavad Gita says, Dushpurena nalena cha. Dushpurena means, no, it's all devouring, but anyway, nalena, like a fire. It's a fire. You can't put out fire by throwing ghee. Fire is hot, throw more ghee. It's become more, put more ghee. Fire is uncontrollable, empty the whole pot of ghee. I want to control my desires. I'll try to satisfy more and more and more. You cannot. Okay, that's not an option. That is not an option. For a person who knows Bhagavad Gita, that option is not there. Other option is, don't have material desires. Well, they'll be there. They will be there. We'll not entertain them. They'll be there because the material body and Maya, until we're fully pure. But we don't entertain the desire. No, we're not going to. So by hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam, it says, Stitve Satam Prasidati. We become situated in Sattvagun, then we're happy. Happy why? No more Rajagun, Tamagun. That's our problem. Lust, envy, anger, greed, delusion, due to Tamogun, Rajagun. So how to stop that? Become purified. Hear Srimad-Bhagavatam, read Srimad-Bhagavatam, remove the influence of the guna, then we become happy. So how? Nityam Bhagavata Seva, Nashta Praesha Bhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Seva. Constantly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Seva, Nashta Praesha Abhadreshu. The dirt is destroyed. Hidyantastha Bhadrani Vidanoti. In the heart, the dirt is destroyed. The dirt, the material desires, the guna, contamination of material energy is removed. So, unless that is fully removed, we cannot understand God. We can't. You have to be on that level. But even at the preliminary level, we'll get some realization, which is very pleasing, and it attracts people, isn't it? People become attracted to God, even by one Harinam, one Kirtan, seeing a devotee, so many things. We attract Krishna. One gets attracted to Krishna, therefore he's known as Krishna. All attracted to everyone. Okay, that is there. But when we speak about the higher topics of rasa dance, which comes in the 10th canto, one has to be fully pure. And therefore we have the 7th canto, 4th canto, Dhruv Maharaj's teachings. Very nice. His prayers. Okay, then Prahlad Maharaj. These two were the favorite sections of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he heard Bhagavatam, he would tell them, recite this section to me. Srila Prabhupada also. Why? They're showing us they're pure. Because, of course, Krishna is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God. But it's to show us that our priority now is to remove this misidentification with the body and the enjoying tendency. This is Sambandha Gyan. That is what we need now, not that highest Leela. Leelas we'll hear, but what will we think when we hear the Leela? We have to understand Krishna, his position. So we hear these pastimes. So we hear the material, the aspects which are of knowledge, which are helping us to overcome material sense gratification. And very nicely, Bhagavatam is organized so that the highest, Bhagavatam means what? Science of God. But then we are looking at material energy, 2nd, 3rd canto. Of course, we hear about God and incarnations. But if you see the topics and narrations about creation and about descriptions of the material nature, that is their 3rd canto, the topics are more on Sambandha Gyan level. Although Srimad-Bhagavatam is about God, but directly about God doesn't come till 10th canto. Although there are some narrations here and there, avatars. That is the reason is because, yes, we'll speak about God, but will you hear? Will you understand? Will you understand? And many people want to understand. This is what it's about. When we are seeking knowledge, seeking realization, we are trying to understand and realize God, because many people know this is the path to my perfection. So how do they do that? They'll do it by understanding the basics first. You're blocking him. You just blocked him. Okay. Okay, you can move that. Right. So Prabhupada said, the subject matter is highly spiritual. Only liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendently relish the rasa dance. Actually, now, Sixth Goswami literature, there's so much of these higher topics. We are locked out. Don't try to even read it now. We have to come on that level. But as I heard from one sannyasi lecture in ISKCON, we have to read that. This is written at some point of qualification, which your guru will tell you, by the way, that we have to come to the pure stage. We have to. Srila Prabhupada once, the narration is there, past time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was sitting and then he was eating and Prabhupada was next to him. Prabhupada told him, chant Hare Krishna. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj told Prabhupada, I'm eating. But Prabhupada, I'm eating. Prabhupada, chant between the bites. Then Prabhupada, I'm not a pure devotee. He said politely. Then Prabhupada turned, you're not a pure devotee. Why? Why aren't you a pure devotee? You have the books. Books are there. You have the time. You have a tongue. You can chant. You can read. Why aren't you a pure devotee? Why not? It's instructive to all of us. Why aren't you a pure devotee? Pure devotee, they'll do it. They're on that level. I'm not. Why aren't we? Why? Why not? You can read. You can chant. We can hear lectures. We can do service. Why aren't we pure? How long does it to become a pure devotee? In one lecture, Prabhupada, someone asked. What did Prabhupada say?
1 moment.
Yeah, correct. 1 minute. 1 moment also. 1 minute to become pure devotee. 10 years, 20 years, no. But technically, we are our own enemy, stopping it. Fully surrender, do it, read, chant. We are the issue, problem. So it's a highly spiritual matter, the highest topic. To understand Krishna, you have to come on that level. Otherwise, don't do it. Better to focus on the beautiful. Actually, this is also so nice to hear about these narrations of how we are in Maya, how to come out, description of the material energy, how to come out of this creation, process of creation. They're also so relishable because they're concerning Krishna. Also, so much knowledge is there. And we find in this shloka, Satyam Param Dhimahi, Prabhupada says, Vyasadeva purposely invokes the Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. So purposely, he's invoking this mantra because Prabhupada said just earlier that to understand God, one has to be on a spiritual platform. Subject matter of Krishna is spiritual. So we will perceive something. Even what we are perceiving, it looks like, how are we able to perceive God? A question was asked in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. I forgot the personality. It is maybe Parikshit Maharaj asking Shukadev Goswami, I think, that the Supreme is spiritual. Yes. We are in material consciousness. Yeah. Then how can we understand him? I'm not someone on the road, it's material. And by reading the Vedas, how can you understand God? He's spiritual. So then the answer is given, yes, God is spiritual. Now the text here written in this book was with ink. Everything is from this material world. We are putting this book is material book. Of course, because it's concerning Krishna, it's spiritual. But now the question comes, how can we perceive him who is beyond this material nature, who is spiritual, pure spirit, with these material things and my material body and mind and senses? And the answer is, it's because Krishna reveals. He decides, he'll reveal it. He gives us instruction, read Gita, read Bhagavatam. You read, and inside he's revealing the knowledge. He'll reveal, or he'll not reveal. So in that way, to become pure, we have to approach Krishna. And we'll use these texts, of course, again, but because Krishna is here, it's spiritual, the text. But the question is like that how can the Vedas reveal, how can these words reveal that personality, which is beyond our vision and senses? Then the answer is that Krishna himself is situated inside us. He'll reveal it. He'll reveal the knowledge. And so that is how it's done. Krishna, he can do anything. He can turn matter to spirit, spirit to matter. The deity form of the Lord. How can you worship a stone? No, it is stone, but Krishna can make it spirit. Why not? He can make spirit matter, matter spirit. Matter comes from spirit. This matter, where did it come from? Krishna. Our body is producing so many chemicals. Where from? Because of the presence of the soul. In life comes from, like Prabhupada says. Matter comes from spirit. The whole ocean came from God. Everything came from the spiritual energy. So what is the problem to take that spirit and make it back, a matter, making it back into spirit? That Krishna can do. So here he says that the Gayatri Mantra is invoked because it's for spiritually advanced people. And by chanting it, one can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri Mantra successfully. Then attain to the stage of transcendently realizing the Lord. First come on the sattvic platform, then the spiritual energy, spiritual knowledge is revealed. In Bhagavad Gita lecture, Prabhupada was titled, First Brahmana, then Vaishnava. Vaishnava is higher than Brahmana, because Vaishnava is transcendental. But you have to come to the Brahminical level first. So therefore, Vaishnava is supposed to be a perfect Brahman. It's supposed to be acting on that platform and coming to pure goodness. And then gradually, he can come on the spiritual level. The Supreme, his name, form, qualities, and so on are transcendently realized by one on that spiritual platform. So Srimad-Bhagavatam is giving this knowledge. But are we qualified? The 10th canto. Still, Prabhupada, he wrote Krishna book, which is a summary of 10 canto. But then he's guiding us every step of the way, how to understand each part. You know, it's like in a prose, not in a shloka. He's explaining so much, many parts which are not in Bhagavatam. He puts the text and explains everything. So we are guided step by step to understand. But generally speaking, 10th canto, the most confidential part, we have to be qualified. So canto 1 to 10 puts us, that it has to be understood. Then we can understand him. The Abhigya, all cognizant, all knowledgeable Supreme Personality of Godhead can be realized by his mercy if we become purified of our material consciousness. Hare Krishna. Any question? Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.